Hello everyone and welcome to CryptoRed, the channel for crypto news. Right now there's a race to buy Ether. Everyone is trying to acquire as much Ethereum as possible. I'm going to explain everything. A new company has just taken the lead. We'll talk also about MicroStrategy or just strategy as they continue raising funds. Also talk about EigenLayer. We'll talk about Realty and what's going on around this project. Some bad news has come from a number of users. I'll go back over to that situation and cover many other topics. Every day, the best of crypto news. Don't hesitate to subscribe and hit the notification bell if you're new to the channel. So today we're seeing a general market downturn, around 5% overall, the whole market. BTC is down 3%. Many other cryptocurrencies are clearly down too. And let's talk about the news, starting with Realty. I made a video on this topic a while back. I told you then I was a bit worried about everything that had been coming out in the press about Realty, about the city of Detroit taking legal action against Realty concerning properties that are not in good condition. Realty is a real world asset project which allow tokenization of homes, and you can buy a share of home for as little as $50. And now they have a huge problem. Some of the problems was that Realty was continuing to pay out rental income even though the properties weren't necessarily generating income. They claimed they were covering the payment out of their own funds. At least that's what I understood. They were also concerned around inflated property valuation. In short, there were a number of troubling signs, and I said it honestly with my experience in crypto, when there's that much negative information around the project, sometimes where there's smoke, there's fire. It's often better to exit early than to stick around until the end and risk getting funds locked. That's what we've seen happen quite a few other cases I won't name. You already know them, but that was my recommendation. Again, Realty is a project I had studied in the past and I had presented it in the past. It's generally well designed from a real estate tokenization perspective. I like the structure they adopted. One company per property to keep things segmented so that if one company runs into trouble, it doesn't affect the others. But now we're seeing that this doesn't really hold up. Why? Because that segmentation of the properties was supposed to protect token holders of one property from being affected by issuers with another. But now, in fact, the city of Detroit has obtained a court order from a judge to place all the properties under receivership to block them, in fact. Meaning all rental income is now frozen. Users can't have this income. Realty also stopped the properties buyback that allowed users to sell their shares of properties to Realty, and this is for 90 days. Depending on what happened after those 90 days, rent can be paid maybe later, but for now we don't know. It's a huge unknown. So you still can sell your shares on the secondary market, which still exists. Its name is YAM. But now we're starting to see things locking up. Returns are no longer being paid out. Some companies are clearly, some users are experiencing liquidity issues. They can't sell their tokens to liquidity. I had already mentioned this potential lack of liquidity, and now it's being confirmed. For the city of Detroit. For the other city, everything is working as it's supposed to work. There's no longer a regular buyback, as I said. The only option left is the YAM market. So yeah, be careful when you invest in projects. Don't put all your eggs in the same basket. Sometimes they can have some issues and it can be blocked. So I also went to see what other people say about Realty in the sphere of Realty, the Realty fans, but there's not much news, unfortunately. So now let's talk about EigenLayer, or rather EigenCloud, which is the new name of EigenLayer. Until now, EigenLayer, the restaking project, was available on Ethereum. Now they're opening up to layer 2 solutions and other chains. In other words, they're moving into a multi-chain world. This means that services built on EigenLayer can now be deployed on other blockchains. They started with Base, the L2 developed by Coinbase. They've launched on the Base testnet. They're not ready yet for the mainnet, but it will allow for cheaper fees for AVSs, those services built on EigenLayer. EigenLayer still has a very high TVL. And by the way, they have around $18 billion worth of ETH staked. This is for restaking. Restaking is not being talked about much more anymore. It hasn't turned out as expected. I was one of the first to. It was a really good way to make some yield on your Ether, but now not much. If you want to know how to generate the best possible yield, there are a lot of resources on the internet, and drop a comment if it's something that you'd like to learn more about. Then, I wanted to talk to you about strategy. Previously MicroStrategy, they had announced a 500 million fundraising round with a new product called Stretch to buy more BTC, and now they extended this fundraising to $2 billion. So they're really trying to innovate and to offer a new way for investors to invest in their new products. And Strategy takes that money and buy BTC with that. Everything is geared toward how to buy as much BTC as possible. That's the only thing that matters to them, and it works. It has created lots of competition on other cryptos, notably on Ether. I've already talked to you about it, but now look, we have Bitmine that has just took the lead with $2 billion worth of Ether, 66,000 ETH. They have $700 million more in Ether than Sharpling Gaming, the company where Joe Lubin is involved, the co-founder of Ethereum, and that's huge because it keeps going up. They now own about 0.5% of the entire Ethereum supply. Sharpling has 0.3%. So yeah, it's really increasing. Bitmine is aiming for 5% of the total supply. So they're currently at 10% of their target. I don't know if you realize the amount of Ether that's being bought on the market is just insane. And in my view, that also explains why Ether is managing to hold at a relatively high level today, while many other cryptos are falling. It's not the only reason, but it explains the recent rise in Ether. There's a lot of institutional interest, a lot of people who are starting to regain confidence in Ether. The narrative has changed. It's completely crazy. 3 months ago, we were at the lowest point for Ether. Everyone was saying it was dead. $1,300, it's over. Ether is going to zero, and now everything has changed. The Ethereum Foundation has finally made a lot of changes. They changed the leadership. They laid out 3 major goals: increase scalability, improve the technical capacity of the Ethereum network, and second priority is improve the user interface. And the third one is increase the blob space, which is the storage for layer 2 solution. So it's really an interesting strategy that is working. The narrative around Ether has changed, and I'm really happy about it. And also, regarding Ethereum, there's been news around BlackRock and its Ethereum ETF, which has just surpassed $10 billion in assets under management. And that's huge. That's massive because it's the 3rd fastest ETF to ever surpass $10 billion in active assets under management. They did it in 251 days. What are the 2 others? They're both crypto ETFs, BTC ETFs. BlackRock with its ETF reached this in 34 days, and Fidelity which reached this in 53 days. So really it's amazing what crypto has achieved through ETFs. Very strong adoption. It's really shaking up the ETF market. Of course, Bitcoin stands apart, as I always repeated. Bitcoin is really a category of its own, but Ethereum's ETFs also stands apart in the world of crypto. I don't see it as a replacement for BTC, but rather as a completely different crypto asset standing alongside BTC. Next, let's talk about meme coins. We have seen a drop recently around the meme coin market, especially with Pump.fun confirming that, because Pump.fun confirmed that there won't be an airdrop anytime soon. The market has been waiting for an airdrop from Pump.fun for a very long time. They did their token sale, they raised $2 billion, and despite that, there's still no airdrop in sight. The Pump.fun token is now worth almost half of its ICO price, so unfortunately, those who bought during the ICO have lost money if they sell, and that's dragged down most of other meme coins. You can see most of the meme coins in the CoinGecko category are down today. We're in a phase where a lot can happen in the coming days. Market can go up or down, but don't worry, over the long term, if you're a holder of solid cryptos, there's no reason to be concerned. So that's what I wanted to share with you today about the latest crypto news. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next update. Bye-bye.